Hola, ¿qué tal? Estamos aquí otra vez en Kingdom Come Deliverance. Estábamos en Rataje y habíamos asistido al torneo y lo hemos ganado otra vez, como no podía ser, de otra manera. Aunque, bueno, sí que es verdad que nos costó un poquito más de lo habitual. Perdimos el primer combate de la final, pero menos mal que pudimos remontar y ganar los otros dos para alzarnos con... Bueno, iba a decir el trofeo. El trofeo en realidad que nos dieron unas perneras, creo, de los señores de Leipa. Pero bueno, acabado el torneo, es hora de ponernos en marcha con nuestros quehaceres aquí en la ciudad. De hecho, quehaceres no tenemos muchos, solo tenemos que hablar con Sir Radzig sobre... A ver, veo que la gente ya no lleva las antorchas. No, son las 7 de la mañana. Tenemos que hablar con Sir Radzig por el tema de los sayones. A ver qué opina de la misión que nos han pedido. Mira, por ahí viene el susodicho. La misión de infiltrarnos en el monasterio. A ver, Sir Radzig. Sir Radzig, cabrón, no me... A ver. Mister.
God be with you, Henry.
Vale, ahora sí.
Congratulations on winning the tournament. I'm proud of you.
Hagenzul, acerca de la investigación... ¿Será esto?
God be with you, Henry.
Sir, this investigation into the Neuhof massacre... It's getting a bit complicated.
What have you found out?
I tracked down a gang of robbers who recruited killers for Pribyslavitz. They know the whoresons who torched Neuhof.
That's excellent news. Did you find out any more?
So far, not much. If I'm going to infiltrate them, I have to do what they say. That means murdering one of their former cronies, a fellow they call Pius. Apparently he was at Neuhof too.
You have to kill a criminal to prove yourself to them? Huh. I don't much like the sound of it.
That's not the worst of it. This Pius is hiding out in the monastery pretending to be a novice. I'd have to get inside the cloisters to get at him.
Good God above, that's another matter entirely. They don't let just anyone into the cloisters, and the abbot won't give up any of the novices. Secular law has no jurisdiction inside the monastery. But this is the second time that something untoward has happened there. First the counterfeiters, now this. I'd be glad to have someone take a look inside.
Bien, no tengo más opción que unirme a la orden. Vale.
It seems like the only way to find Pius is to join the order. Damned if I know how, though.
A bit of meditation and learning would do you good. If it's really
Vaya
the only
perro.
way to get to him, then you'll have to do it. I'm sorry I can't be of much help. Sadly, my relations with the monastery aren't entirely congenial. You'll have to figure something out for yourself.
What should I do with Pius once I find him?
Don't kill him. Bring him
Vale.
to the bailiff in Rataje. He'll interrogate the man and give him a fair trial.
It doesn't sound like an easy task, sir. Getting into the cloisters, finding Pius, and then getting him to the bailiff.
Far from it, lad. But I have confidence in your abilities. Good luck, man.
Vale, o sea, Sir Radzig nos ha pedido específicamente que no matemos al tal Pío. Es decir, que nos infiltremos en el monasterio, lo encontremos y nos marchemos de allí con él hasta aquí a Rataje y entregárselo al merino. Bueno, pues no es tarea nada sencilla porque ya nos va a costar lo suyo entrar en el monasterio, que es como una cárcel. Más nos va a costar salir y salir con otra persona, que además una persona que seguramente no querrá salir porque sabrá lo que le espera aquí fuera. Bueno, la misión esta del monasterio, tal como ha dicho Henry, se está complicando muchísimo, pero bueno, al menos tenemos claras cuáles son las órdenes de Sir Radzig, así que ahora solo tenemos que intentar ejecutarlas de la mejor manera posible. Vale, pues habiendo hablado con nuestro señor, es hora de poner rumbo... Técnicamente tendríamos que poner rumbo a Sázava para empezar la misión de infiltración en el monasterio. De hecho, tenemos que convencer al novicio que va a entrar para que podamos ocupar su lugar. Otra cosa que no será nada sencilla, seguro. También tenemos que pasar a ver al campamento de Kuno, a ver qué demonios ocurrió con la emboscada. Tenemos al charlatán de Ledecko para el tema de la poción de Capon, así que tenemos bastantes tareas. No sé si ir primero a hablar con el charlatán, porque si consiguiéramos la poción, podríamos volver aquí a Rataje, entregársela a Capon y después ir a ver a Kuno. Aunque bueno, lo primero he parado en el molino de Peshek para cobrar la apuesta del torneo. A ver, suelta la mosca. Quiero mis ganancias por la apuesta en el torneo.
I've come for my winnings.
All right, here's your winnings. Damn it. There'll be another tourney in a week or so. Are you going to give me a chance to win my groschen back?
We'll see. Thanks.
Me ha dado 500 gronchens. A ver, no sé si puedo hacer algo de entrenamiento.
Certainly.
Creo que no tenemos nivel 10.
I'd like to hone my skills.
First, you have to have some skills to hone.
Ya.
Well,
Ok.
I'll think it over.
Y de forzar cerraduras me parece que tampoco estamos a nivel 15, creo. Robar bolsillos. Nos queda poco, para el nivel 10. ¿Dónde está? Forzar cerraduras. Bueno, aún estamos un poco lejos. Vale, pues nada, al menos nos llevamos unos buenos gronchens. Y ahora vamos a ir al Ledecko sin pasar por el campamento de Kuno. La verdad me gustaría ir al campamento de Kuno, pero tal vez nos vamos de patrulla por algún lugar que ahora mismo no me interesa ir. Por lo tanto iremos al Ledecko por la vía un poquito más larga. Por cierto, ahora que lo pienso, no sé si teníamos... Ya he perdido la cuenta de los mapas. Mapa del tesoro 10. Vale, este tesoro se podría encontrar fácil. Pero bueno, no sé si es prioritario ahora mismo. Creo que lo que sí es prioritario es hablar con el charlatán, a ver si se ha difundido el rumor del resucitado. Porque, a ver, tenemos que darle cosas a Capon, las cosas que nos pidió. Ok, pues ahí tenemos Ledecko. Imagino que el charlatán estará en... A ver, un segundo, estoy limpito. Más que nada que como aquí hay casa de baños. Por cierto, ¿cuál es mi reputación en Ledecko? Ledecko estamos a 75. ¿Tenemos algo que podamos venderle? Vale, estoy pensando que podemos pasar por la taberna, venderle algo al sastre de este lugar y así que nos suba la reputación. Mira, justo por ahí sale el charlatán. A ver qué podemos vender. Vale, esta es nuestra habitación, así que no hay problema. A ver, tengo pantalones. Tengo unos guantes que a lo mejor podríamos vender. Ostras, pues Vale, vendí todas las armaduras. Mira, a lo mejor puedo venderle algunos cálices. Aunque sea un sastre, es posible que me los acepte. Vale, puede que con esto sea suficiente. Y nuestra ropa necesita... No, está bien... Está bien arreglada, no necesitamos reparaciones. Ah, bueno, espera, estoy pensando que en vez de al sastre, puedo venir aquí a este comerciante directamente a vender los cálices. Que este sí que me los aceptará. Espero que tenga suficiente
I'm at your
pasta.
service, Sir Knight.
Negocios. Tiene 280. No es muy boyante, pero bueno. A ver, quiero venderte... Ah, ostras, es verdad, tenía que encontrar a Adam en Rataje. No. Bueno, si hago así, subiré por 2 la reputación. Y son 10 gronchens que ni me va ni me viene. Sí. Uy, me sube por 2. A ver si eso se ve reflejado. De momento 75. Creo que tarda un poco en actualizarse. Mira, no, mierda, me había emocionado. Pensaba que el 84 era de Ledecko. No, aquí solo son los lugareños, así que... Además, si vamos a portarnos mal con ellos, por el tema del resucitado, mejor subir la reputación. A ver, charlatán, ¿cómo va el asunto?
I'm glad to see you.
El trágico destino del carbonero. A ver.
I know who was buried in that grave. A young charcoal burner.
So begins the tragic tale of the young charcoal burner who became entangled with the devil himself.
Oh, don't start. What devil? I'm trying to tell you... Ugh. He was from Ledecko. He was trying to eke out a living for himself and his wife, but he couldn't manage. When she fell pregnant, he took to stealing.
Pride drove him from the straight and narrow path, and soon he sold his soul to the devil to fill his stomach.
They caught him and punished him, but some of the people he'd robbed didn't think it was enough. Then when his wife died in childbirth, and the child too, he blamed everyone for it. Even God, apparently.
But when the time came to pay his debt to hell, the devil had no use for his soul, and took his wife and child instead. The charcoal burner cursed God, who struck him down in righteous vengeance. But the dead man's soul never left his body.
Eso está mal traducido. Es nunca abandonó su cuerpo, no su alma.
And men, and take vengeance on the living.
Jesus, did you listen to what I said at all?
Sorry, did you say something?
Oh, never mind. What do you want me to do with it?
Well, the question is, what would the Revenant do to get revenge on the villagers? Well, apprentice?
Robo comida. El carnicero. Su esposa murió. Maldijo a Dios. What? Y... yo qué sé. A ver.
He cursed God. That's very serious.
What is it that most brings God to mind?
They don't have a church there. But everyone will have a rosary. I can't think of anything else.
That's it! If folks start losing their rosaries, they'll have sleepless nights over it.
You want me to steal rosaries? But that's...
Or just exchange them.
For what?
For nothing.
Great.
Vaya pavo. Vale, o sea, tenemos que robarles los rosarios para que los relacionen con el tema del resucitado. A ver,
He
robo
was
comida.
stealing food from people, right? So, supposing he started again.
We should steal from people? Disgraceful. Have you no shame?
Maybe just a few eggs from hen coops, like the gossip mentioned.
Well, that wouldn't be too serious a sin. Will they put it down to the revenant, though?
They would, if I put some charcoal there instead.
And their nourishment he turned into ash.
Interesante. El carnicero.
The gossip mentioned the butcher. It seems he was infuriated that the charcoal burner's punishment was too lenient.
And the revenant spoiled their meat with his malign touch.
How's that?
Spoiled meat is a classic example of a revenant's power.
I thought it was the work of bad butchers.
That too, sometimes.
So, I should switch the good meat for bad at the butcher's.
But make sure it's the same kind of meat. Not even a revenant will turn a cow into a chicken.
What about his wife and child?
Va, entonces
No doubt he
tendremos
wants to
que
avenge their
cazar algo y
death.
dejar que
Well,
se
how did they
pudra.
die?
In childbirth.
And when his love turned to rage, the water turned to blood. Nothing too original, but it's tried and tested. If you do it at the baths, everyone will hear of it.
How am I supposed to do that? It might be a bit suspicious if I'm seen walking around with a pail of blood.
No problem. There's a certain potion that will do the trick easily. So,
Vale.
switch eggs for charcoal, switch the meat, color the water in the baths, and switch the rosaries. That ought to do it. I hope so. Of course, if you come up with anything else, don't let me hold you back. Talking to people might give you ideas. Traders, the bailiff.
Well, what if someone sees me in the act?
They mustn't. Otherwise, it'll end up like Sasau all over again. Don't draw attention to yourself, or they'll put two and two together.
Sure. I'll keep my head down. And how would I know if I've
Vale.
succeeded? I doubt it'll be announced on the market square.
I'll be the first to know. They'll come running to me for a remedy, like hens at feeding time. Off you go and raise hell.
Vale, nos han dicho... A ver, acerca de
But
los
whatever he did,
restos.
don't you think he deserves some peace?
Dear Henry, after all the poor wretch went through, I'd say he's beyond any peace.
Well, he certainly won't have any as long as I'm carrying his bones around with me.
Ah, but you know who those remains could help.
Help? Who? How?
Me, of course. And I'd pay you a nice price for a revenant's bones.
But there is no revenant.
Not yet. What do you say?
Creo que me dan un trofeo si los entierro. A ver.
Maybe I should bury him somewhere else.
What are you saying? That would be such a waste. Anyway, if someone saw you, the whole game would be up.
Well, supposing I do it later, when the fuss has died down.
All right, if you must. But I don't know what you hope to get out of it.
At least the poor wretch will have peace at last.
Maybe. As long as you bury him in hallowed ground. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
Like in Ratai, maybe?
Well, that's probably the nearest. That gossip-mongering crone would know.
True, I could ask her.
If you must. But for heaven's sake, don't even hint to her what you're up to. God be with you.
Enterrar los restos en Ratai. Vale, al menos tenemos algo que hacer en Ratai. Hablar con la chismosa sobre el carbonero. Vale. También tenemos que hablar con los comerciantes y el merino para sacar más ideas. A ver si hablo con el sastre. A ver si nos da ideas para asustar, aparte de las 4 que nos han dicho. No, hablemos de negocios. No.
Poor or rich, old or young, there's something
A ver, veamos el comerciante. Si no podemos hablar con las de la casa de baños y con el merino, sobre todo. A ver. No, este también dice solo negocios. What the fuck. Ah, con el tabernero a lo mejor. Que siempre los taberneros siempre están llenos de chismes y cosas raras que pasan por la aldea. Veamos. El intrépido Félix. No recuerdo quién es este pavo. A ver, posadero. Dame alguna idea. ¿Qué está pasando por aquí? A ver.
What's happening around here?
Ah, you know how it is. Always something. Them 2 rogues, Matthew and Fritz, have finally cleared off.
Hostia,
No loss, I can tell you. Shy of work, the pair of them. But when there's mischief to be made, they jump at the chance. I hear they've made themselves at home in the tavern in the glade. Well, their custom I can do without. Andrew's welcome to them. Oh, and another thing. Now I think of it, I've not seen Cunhutta here for some time. The local herbwoman. She always comes here once a week for a tankard of ale. But she ain't turned up recently. I hope nothing's happened to her.
Vale, hay que ir a ver a la herborista, pero nada de ideas sobre qué hacer para asustar a la gente con el resucitado. A ver si en la casa de baños tienen alguna idea.
Good morning.
No.
Good luck then.
Vale, pues podría ir a ver a la herborista. Un segundo, quiero ver las tareas que tenemos. Robar los rosarios, sustituir los huevos por carbón, sustituir la carne fresca. Vale, habrá que pudrir carne. Descubrir qué tipo de carne tiene guardada el carnicero. Bueno, podríamos hacer un poco de todo. Consultar para ver, ok. Enterrar a Lev, hablar con la chismosa sobre el carbonero. Vale, tenemos que ir a hablar con la chismosa. Pero primero quiero ir a ver al arborista, que el sastre ha dicho que estaba preocupado por ella. A ver, si no recuerdo mal, la herborista estaba por aquí. Tiene que haber un camino que sube por la izquierda. No. Este es el camino. Ya de paso podemos destilar la poción para teñir el agua. Y así una cosa que tenemos hecha. Veamos. La herborista. A ver qué ocurre.
God preserve you, good night. Can I do something for you?
¿Puedo hacer algo por vos?
Is there anything I can do for you?
As it happens, there is. Drahomira, a widow from Ledecko, requested my services. But it's a long way on foot, and me with my back in such dreadful pain. I simply can't face the journey.
All the way from Ledecko? What, they don't have a herbalist there?
They do, but she didn't want a local. She's a rich widow, inherited a butcher shop. You know how folks like to gossip, especially about anyone who's better off than them. Do you know anything at all about exorcisms?
Exorcisms?
LOL.
You know, banishing ghosts, smudging, spells.
Para un trabajo perfecto para mí, parece un trabajo perfecto para mí. Sí, ¿por qué no? Vamos a hacer un
Haunted
exorcismo.
butcher shop. All in a day's work for me.
It's not a task to be undertaken lightly. This is a real ghost, the spirit of a dead man who hasn't found peace. In order to banish him from the world of the living, you'll need to do a few things.
Slit a black cock's neck on the poor soul's grave.
Oh, qué
What a
asco.
despicable thought. No. Do you know what smudging is? You'll need 10 poppies and some flowers from the deceased grave. Once you have all that, bring it to the house that's being haunted. Light it on fire, and the smoke will purge the place of any unwanted spirits.
Jope, ¿por qué en Ledecko todo gira en torno a los muertos? Vale.
Sounds like fun. I'll help you.
It's no game. It's a very serious matter. Drahomira was terrified, and these aren't forces to be meddled with lightly.
Fine. Is there anything else I should know?
That's a question for Drahomira. You'll find her in her cottage on the very edge of Ledecko. God be with you.
Vale, bueno, la ventaja de esto es que nos permitirá acceder a la carnicería y estudiar qué demonios... Amapolas tenemos 6. Vale. Nos permitirá entrar en la carnicería para ver qué carne tiene. Yo lo que quería ver también... A ver, negocios... No sé si tendrá... No tiene carbón. Poción de Artemisa, linimento, agua de leteo. ¿Qué hace esto el agua de leteo? Vale, no, esto no me interesa. Linimento. Un licor fuerte que induce al sueño. Bueno. No me llama demasiado la atención las demás cosas que tiene la herborista. A ver, no sé si tenemos por aquí la receta para teñir poción del bardo. No, esto no. Jope. Conservador, canción de cuna. A ver. Qué raro, no tengo... No, a lo mejor no me ha dado la receta o... Documentos de Ulrich. Vale, tendremos que hablar con el charlatán para que me dé la receta de teñir el agua. Pensaba que me la había dado. Vale, y tenemos otro encargo que es este de Drahomira. Bueno, recoger las amapolas no debería ser muy complicado. Nos falta hablar con la chismosa y hablar con la propia Drahomira. A ver, caramba, se nos han complicado las cosas. Es que este juego está lleno de misiones. Bueno, sobre todo misiones secundarias. Es impresionante cómo se pueden hacer tantas cosas. A ver, mira, el merino. A ver si tiene alguna idea para asustar más a la gente, obviamente sin que se entere que lo queremos usar para esos fines. A ver, preguntar al merino por el resucitado.
You look a bit worried, bailiff.
How can I not be? What with the whole village complaining about ghosts?
Ghosts?
An empty grave that they say a revenant crawled out of. They talk of nothing else.
You don't think there's any truth to it?
No, it's nothing but old wives' tales.
But how come the grave is empty?
You don't need any magic to dig up a grave. A spade will do.
Why would anyone do that? Surely no God-fearing Christian would dig up the grave of some poor soul who hasn't even got the piece of hallowed ground to rest in.
A God-fearing Christian? No.
So you suspect someone?
Could be. There's been a band of good-for-nothing itinerants hanging around recently. They weren't making any trouble, though, so I let them be. But this is going too far.
How do you know it was them?
Who else would it be?
What about the Revenant?
Oh, don't you start. That revenant of yours is nothing but idle hands doing the devil's work. I'd send them packing myself if I had the time and the men.
Necesitáis un héroe. A ver, si digo os ayudaré.
Supposing I help you get rid of them.
You look like you know how to handle yourself.
Come closer, my friends.
Yo nunca me retiro de una pelea. Sí, vale.
You bet I can. It wouldn't be wise to fool with me.
I don't doubt it, but I don't want any bloodshed in my parish. There's enough trouble already with one long-dead corpse.
Don't worry, Master Bailiff. I'll be the very soul of discretion.
Then I'll gladly accept your help. Is there anything you need to know?
¿Quiénes son esas
Who are these
personas?
people?
Just some itinerants who'd rather roam the roads than do an honest day's work. They're not cutthroats, though, just petty thieves and beggars.
Vale. ¿Y qué
What are
hacen
they
por
doing
aquí?
here?
Damned if I know. Or where they came from. Except for one fella who's from Ledecko. But the rest are from God knows where.
Are they
Armas.
armed?
As much as any thief. Who isn't these days?
¿Y dónde están?
Where can I find them?
Last I heard, they were a bit away from the village, across the river by the old mine.
That's all I need to know. I'll get going.
Good luck. God be with you.
Vale, pero esto no me ha dado mucha idea. O sea, pensaba que a lo mejor negociar con a menos podría ir a hablar con los itinerantes para que sembraran más temor. Vale, vale, a lo mejor es eso, puedo convencer a esta gente para que me ayude a aterrorizar al pueblo. Vale, parece un buen plan. A ver, el charlatán, tío, no me has dado la receta.
God be with you.
Eso, esa poción para convertir
What's
el
the
agua en
recipe for
sangre.
that potion you were talking about?
You mean for coloring the water? Ah, well,
Well,
pay close attention now.
I'm all ears.
How love turned to bloodshed. Once there was a knight who, though upright and noble-looking, had a prickly, unapproachable appearance. He fell in love with a fragile young maid, whom he saw with her sisters in a field, all wearing bright red wimples. But he was afraid his prickly exterior would frighten her. So he asked the advice of another knight, a pious and learned crusader, who carried the name of the patron saint of his order with pride. The pious knight told him he would arrange a rendezvous with the maid. All three would drink wine together by the river. and he would help his friend to get acquainted with her. This they did, but the maid fell in love instead with the pious knight. The stern knight was enraged and challenged his rival to a duel. The two fought long and fiercely, but they were equally matched. And so, in the end, they both fell mortally wounded. Anguished at the tragedy her beauty had caused, the young maid took a dagger from one of the knights and plunged it into her own heart. Their bodies lay together on the ground, and the blood flowed from them into the river, turning the waters crimson.
I thought you were going to tell me the recipe, not some fable.
Pero qué demonios me estás contando,
It is
tío.
the recipe. I mean, the recipe is
¿En serio?
concealed in the story.
What on earth for?
Dios, vaya
So I
desgraciado.
don't forget it.
All right.
Eh,
So what does it mean?
I can't remember.
Great. So if you don't know, who does?
You'll figure it out, my loyal apprentice. I remember there are 3 plants in the story, but that's about all. But I know it was a simple recipe. It should be enough to grind the ingredients and brew them together for one turn. So, all you have to do is work out what the ingredients are from the story.
Sure. Why make things simple if you can complicate them?
Vale, a ver. La historia hablaba de un cruzado. Creo que eso tiene que ser hierba de San Juan. Es la única que se me ocurre. ¿Tenemos hierba de San Juan por aquí? Esta. Creo esta tiene que ser una. La de tintes rojos podría ser amapola. Y el caballero espinoso puede ser o un cardo o puede ser la ortiga. Y como decía la historia que bebían vino, entiendo que la poción debería ser con vino. Entonces tenemos que probar a moler los 3 ingredientes. Sabemos que hierba de San Juan y amapola creo que casi seguro lo son. Y el otro puede ser o cardo o ortiga, porque los dos son espinosos. Entonces, los 3 molidos se ponen hirviendo un turno en vino y después se destilan. Así que tendremos que probar a ver cuál es la combinación adecuada. Vale, espero ser capaz de recordarlo porque ya el tiempo se nos está acabando y tendremos que dejarlo para otro vídeo. Yo creo que a lo mejor podría ser... Estoy pensando, podríamos ir a Rataje a enterrar los restos del pobre hombre que sacamos de su tumba. Así también nos lo quitamos de en medio. Vamos al boticario, bueno, al taller de alquimia que tiene el boticario. Hacemos esta poción. Bueno, probamos a ver si nos sale. Y después tenemos que pasar a ver a Adam para entregarle la cruz esa que sacamos de la taberna del Claro. Y hablando de la taberna del Claro, se ve que Matthew y Fritz han ido allí. Tendremos que averiguar a ver qué demonios están haciendo y por qué no han seguido con el trabajo que les encontramos. En fin, lo dejamos aquí. Tenemos muchas tareas por hacer, que además hemos averiguado lo más importante, que es... hemos hablado con Sir Radzig sobre cómo hacer lo del monasterio, qué es lo que él quiere que hagamos, que nos ha dicho no matar al bandido, sino sacarlo del monasterio y traerlo a Rataje. Así que la verdad es que la historia se pone más interesante, o sea, ya era interesante, pero se van juntando muchas historias a la vez que, bueno, van a ser integrantes, van a ser joder, no me sale, perdón. Bueno, que van a ser bastante guays de resolver. Intrigantes, eso era la palabra que quería decir. En fin, pues ahora sí, lo dejamos aquí y nos vemos en el próximo vídeo. Hasta pronto.